Hey, welcome back to the channel. I am excited to be just talking more about Under the Bridge episode 5. It just got dropped. We have 3 more episodes to go. This series is definitely flying under the radar a bit, and I wish more people would talk about it. This episode was jam-packed. There was a lot going on. I'm going to highlight a few things that I think are really interesting. Well, before I get into the details of episode 5, if you haven't watched Under the Bridge, it's on Hulu. All 5 episodes are streaming right now. Okay, so I'm getting into it. So consider this your warning. Spoilers ahead. For me, this series to me kind of started off a little slow with unlikable characters, and the characters I'm talking about are the teenagers, a bunch of bad girl teens with stereotypical rebelliousness, but then by episode 4, I'm genuinely really episode 3, I'm genuinely intrigued with some of the themes that we get introduced to, like racism, even classism, and grief and loss, and how characters deal with those things. I'm really enthralled by the story. In episode 5, we get a glimpse of Rebecca a bit in this episode, and we also keep getting glimpses of Cam and her past and her background. I can't help but question some of Rebecca's choices, especially with her relationship with the girls and the things that she does there, and even her relationship with Warren seems sort of makes me feel a little bit like it's one that she would have had with her brother. And this episode showed that, at least in my point of view. We also get a glimpse of Warren as he and Rebecca are high. They both seem to open up more than they have in the entire series thus far. So Warren confesses what he saw the night Reena Virk was murdered, and Rebecca confesses how she feels about her brother's death and that she thinks that she could have done something to save him. And so there's a lot of guilt there, and both of them want to not feel what they're feeling about themselves. And so that was really revealing. This episode really and it's not just this episode, I think it was episode 1 and 2, kind of puts racism on blast. We see that with the cigarette burn marks on Rena's forehead and Cam's dad not really noticing it in the first place. As much as I think what Cam's dad did to save her from abuse, I still feel like there's this underlining racism and classism here that we are dealing with in terms of the murder, but also overall in the community of Victoria, and definitely in the relationship between Cam, her dad, and her brother. So she's not biological, so he clearly took her in and adopted her. And so it's interesting dynamic there, really straight off the bat. Episode 1, we saw that. Episode 2, we really saw that. Episode 3, and then this episode 5. So the other thing that we see is we get a glimpse of Kelly under the bridge. The first thing, like as soon as the episode starts, we get a view of the bridge, and Kelly's kind of on the side there in view. And then we see Reena Virk's shoes in view. It's just kind of like, man, this girl did something. And then we see later on in the episode Warren confessing to Rebecca that he saw what happened to Reena that night, and he's confessing to her what he had seen and how he was involved, or not involved in this case, but definitely involved. Because he saw what happened, and I don't know how much he tried to stop it, but he definitely was involved and was there. And then we see the girls kind of like freaking out over, the cops finding evidence. And so the girls, Kelly and Joe and Dusty, are kind of in this place where they are wanting to pin the murder to someone else, and so they pin it on Warren. They're ratting first in this episode, so we still see Cam and Rebecca kind of working together to try and get some evidence, some resolve in this case. And so Rebecca obviously is trying to get in with the girls. Joe's kind of upset with her right now because Joe wants to go to New York and Rebecca's not going to do that for her. So she's trying to regain trust, and in doing so, she gets herself in a bind with the girls and the Crips, and that's where Warren kind of steps in and rescues her and does like a dare. Like if you're with the cops, then you wouldn't do these drugs. And so she and Warren both did the drugs. It acts as like a truth serum. And so one of the things that I thought was really interesting is that I thought was probably one of the most truest and realist things that I've heard in throughout the series is Reena's mom's, where she goes, I didn't understand Reena. When she said that she didn't understand Reena, it hit me. I was just like, that's the realest thing I've heard all series, is that mom didn't understand Reena. And I'm sure she wished she did. I'm sure that she wishes for a lot of things. And so really jam-packed episode. There was a lot going on. It's intense, it's intriguing, it's disturbing, it's dark, it's you want justice and you want Rena's murderers to get caught, and justice could be slow, and in this case it's very slow. And so we have 3 more episodes left. I'm excited to see how this all shakes out at the end. We know that Cam spent some time at Seven Oaks when she was growing up because she was abused. And that's when Cam's adopted dad, who happens to be the chief, brought her in and took care of her and raised her. There's a lot of dynamics there that are interesting and even frustrating to watch and disappointing to watch. I definitely don't like Cam's relationship with her adopted brother. I didn't like it from the beginning, and I still don't like it. He wasn't in this episode, but definitely see a lot of, I don't know. It's just weird. It's just like you adopted her, but you also feel a certain way about these girls that are at Seven Oaks, and it's kind of a sad situation. And I don't really know where it's going to shake out at the end, but racism and classism is definitely on blast with this series, and we see that and we feel that. And those are my thoughts on episode 5. Please let me know what you thought of the episode and what your thoughts are on some of the themes of racism and classism in this series. All right, and that is it for now. Be sure to stream Under the Bridge on Hulu. All 5 episodes are up, and we'll talk to you soon.